everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Lesbian Line. I do believe this is episode 12. I think so. And the topic today is going to be interracial relationships. For this episode, I thought that it would be great to actually have an interracial couple doing the episode. So it's me and my fiancé.
Hey, y'all.
Hi. It's so good to have you back for the second time.
It's great to be back. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We have 3 great stories, and then we have like our recommendations, our queer corner that we're going to get into. But before we do, let's do a quick disclaimer. Hey everyone, just a heads up before we dive in. I'm not a medical professional or a therapist. This is all just commentary, conversation, and community. This whole project is inspired by my doctoral research, which is all about exploring how queer people learn, share, and reflect on relationships online. We'll be diving into queer stories found on social media like Reddit, Instagram, or stories that you send into the Lesbian Line Reddit thread. Everything we talk about will be linked below so you can read the original stories for yourself. Thanks for being here. And now let's get on the Lesbian Line. Okay, so let's read our first story. Am I the a-hole because I don't want my girlfriend who is white to do my hair? We should. Let's see what's going on here. I'm Black and I have locks. My girlfriend is white. We both have experience doing hair. Since we started dating, she usually asks me to do her hair, which I don't mind at all, and I love doing. Just things like blowouts, color, cut and style, stuff like that. That's basically everything, honey. It is.
Yeah.
She has asked me several times if she can do my hair as well, and I always tell her no. My locks are pretty sacred to me, and it's important that my hairstylist is Black and also has locks, but at the very least, they must be Black. She does have experience doing locks, and honestly, she is not bad at it, but I just don't want her doing mine. When I need my hair done, my friend does it instead of my girlfriend. My girlfriend feels hurt about this. I wonder why. We've talked about it. I guess she feels like doing hair is our thing. And I know she also feels like it's unfair that I do her hair, but she can't do mine. Anyway, this has become a strain in our relationship. I know this isn't specific to being a lesbian, but just looking for any insights or advice on this issue from other folks in the community. ETA, I should have chosen a different title. I don't think I'm the a-hole here either. I guess I just picked a classic Reddit title. Just wanted thoughts, advice on this. Thank you. And edit 2, having fun blocking racists.
Real. Yeah.
Real. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? Because I have thoughts also.
I also have thoughts, but you should go for it, baby.
I know from us, we've had conversations about my hair. You guys have not seen me yet because I haven't figured out how to incorporate video and podcast sound quality yet. But just for context, I am very Black, blackity Black. And my hair is about a 4C. It's a solid 4C with the ends being something different because I very stupidly put a texturizer in my hair and I'm definitely paying for it. Girlies, don't do that. Don't texturize your hair. Anyway, not the point. So we've definitely talked about my hair and how I wanted you to learn how to do my hair because as, you know, a couple that is about to get married, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what our future looks like. And in the situation where I may not be able to do my own hair, manage my own hair, we had that conversation of, I want you to learn how to do at least something with my hair so that, you know, if it calls for it, you don't have to depend on anyone else, that you would be able to manage my hair and all its 4C amazingness. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's for me, I didn't grow up learning how to deal with my own hair. I wasn't really, you know, I was nurtured in some ways by my mother, but I'm white, you know, spoiler alert, but I have really kind of thick wavy hair and I used to have hair down all the way to my waist almost. And it would get really matted underneath. And my mom would kind of just like brush through it. My mom had very curly hair and her mother didn't really know how to take care of it. And so she never really learned. And then she didn't really teach me how to take care of my hair. So I think that's part of it. I think more in our discussion where it's like learning how to take care of your hair when I don't know how to take care of my hair is difficult. There are certain things. I'm also a teacher and I've taught up in Harlem and up in Washington Heights for over a decade now. So there are certain things that I have learned how to do to take care of my kids' hair and have made a point to because I think it's part of my responsibility to. I think on the flip side of that coin, though, from my perspective for this story, I don't think it's a matter of whether or not her white partner, I think they said she, her pronouns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's about whether or not her partner knows how to do locks or not.
Because she said that she does know how to.
I don't know that her partner is having empathy or understanding for the fact that like hair is not only political, but it's spiritual, like she mentions in the story. And it's also about a connection to ancestors and, you know, something that white people in America don't have the same thing for. Like we don't have those experiences. We don't experience neither the systemic or interpersonal racism that comes with that, but also we don't experience the same level of like spiritualism either. No, I mean like on the positive side with our hair and our connection to it. It's not something that also gets whitewashed kind of out of ourselves. And I don't know that her partner is really seemingly, according to the story, seeing that in the way that she needs to. Because to be with somebody is to see that side of them as well. It's not just like a task or something that she can do her artistry with. It's something much more than that. And I think that is something that she needs to work on her own to figure out. She's got to listen and figure that out.
Yeah. Like for this story, I see both sides of it. I see wanting to nurture your partner in a loving way. To do someone's hair is an act of love, especially if if it's a different type of hair than the hair that you were born with, going back or forth to learn how to do a different type of hair for your partner, to me, is an act of love. But at the same time, I can also say that as a Black person with, you know, my mother's all the way back hair, I realized the sacredness and the significance of it. Whether it's in New Orleans and all the Black women have to cover their hair and they turn it into something beautiful, or just the different styles like cornrows saying how to get to freedom, or even before that, the hair is significant and it should be seen as a sacred thing. But I think that for myself, at least, if the person that I am with is also saying, yes, your hair is beautiful, your hair is sacred, then I just have a different perspective than OP.
Yeah, I think our situation is probably different because it's like something I've learned and have tried and I'm not good at yet, but I can continue to work on. I think our situation is a bit different. I think, especially because it's locks, I think there's a level that she's trying to express to her audience and just it seems like she wants to get confirmation for what she already knows. I think it's something, I don't know. I hope somebody else talked to her about it too. It's not that all that labor shouldn't be just on the person who wrote that story either.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of preference too. Like if you don't want white people in your hair, then you just don't want white people in your hair. Now, as a Black woman, I can say would I choose a white stylist over a Black stylist? Probably not. Probably not, because now I'm questioning everything. Are you going to burn my hair? Are you going to damage my hair? Are you going to, cut it the wrong way? Are you not going to understand how fast my hair grows so you can't cut as much? Like it's so many little things. This is such a side note, but I remember on Top Model, remember when we watched the Top Model thing where they cut that girl's hair.
You're talking about the documentary.
Yeah, with the wrong razor and like scalped her essentially.
Yeah, and it doesn't and in all reality, some good white people doesn't make up for the fact that there are so many bad ones or ignorant ones, and ignorance can be just as bad as have just as much of an impact in certain contexts as like active hate. And it's like when you're talking about hair in this context too, it's like even if you're aware and like think you know what you're doing, there's a level of privilege that leads to just arrogance and blindness. And I think that that makes sense to me,
Yeah. And it definitely leads to fatigue, like going into, business or professional settings and being told like, when are you going to get your hair done?
Right.
It is done.
Right.
Like I am expressing myself aerodynamically. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's done.
Yeah. I mean, the Crown Act just had to be passed a couple of years ago, and that's, reprehensible.
Yeah.
And it's pervasive. Just because a law says it doesn't mean society is changed. Doesn't mean people haven't internalized the racism that exists there, and also doesn't mean that well-meaning, quote unquote, well-meaning white people are actually well-meaning in their impact. It doesn't always translate.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not coming for OP. Like, this isn't like about her specifically, but it does lead me to believe, like, not lead me to believe, but it makes me wonder, okay, you want to be in relationship with this person, but don't want this person touching your hair.
Yeah.
Like, to me, something about that situation isn't aligned. It's like, I like you, but I don't want you to touch me. To me, that doesn't line up.
Yeah, I wonder what the white partner is doing or not doing to create a lack of full safety. Not that it can't exist while also still wanting a black stylist. You know what I mean? I don't know enough about the relationship to know that, but I do think, in my perspective, the white partner needs to do more.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's like if she's saying no, respect the no,
Mhm,
or you can decide, hey, I want to, move on. I want to move forward
mhm.
with, as a single person, but you have to respect the no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see what the comments say. The Row Your Toothbrush says, hi, white lady here. I think maybe you're trying to say that your grooming habits aren't just personal, they tie you to your identity in a larger community. Kind of like how some people are spiritually active on a personal level versus some people really needing to tap into a larger community to feel in tune. I think it's totally fair. I think emphasize that fair doesn't mean equal. Maybe consider other ways that she could express acts of caretaking. Maybe she could help you with your pedicures or facial masks to feel like it's more reciprocal with her. Okay.
Mm. She kinda lost me as being like, "Hi, I'm a white lady. Let me tell you what I think you're trying to say." Like, you know what I mean? I kinda lost the
Well,
script a little bit.
little white lady can have an opinion. I mean, OP said, thanks exactly. So happy you get it. Yeah. Okay. One more comment, and then I have no idea what race this person is, but Clay Teeth says the thing is, no one is wrong here. She's allowed to be hurt that she can't share that intimacy with you, and you're allowed to have your hair be reserved as part of your racial identity. These kinds of things just happen in all relationships, regardless of race. Not everyone can share all parts of themselves with their partner. If that's a deal breaker for her, that's within her right. If it's not, she needs to work on being at peace with your decision.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, I hope that they're able to, settle that particular difference, but it definitely set me on a uneasy seat because yeah, I don't see it that way. It's just my personal preference is different. All right, so let's go on to our next story. How do Black lesbians feel about interracial dating? I am not against it, says Black queer girl, but I wanted to know how my fellow Black lesbians felt. Because of the many marginalized groups that I am, I think that I would be doing myself a disservice by refusing to date people based on their race. Genuine love for people like myself, Black, queer, woman, is rare. And when it does happen, it can come from anyone of any color, race, religion, background, etc. I understand that some Black lesbians refuse to date interracially because of the politics on race, which I understand. However, once you take a step back and realize that people aren't what they need to be no matter what, it makes you more inclined to be open-minded. I don't really have a race and or color preference, although I do find myself attracted to mixed and white women a lot. I have a character preference. I like someone that's intelligent, compassionate, kind-hearted, empathetic, open-minded, caring, romantic, a go-getter, etc. What color are these traits again? Exactly. Okay. What are your thoughts, babe?
I mean, I don't know if my thoughts matter in this context. And I mean, it's not like, yeah, I think that, I think as a white person, I don't think it's my job to really tell Black women who they should and shouldn't date. I know from my perspective for like other white folks who date people of color in general, but especially Black women and especially queer Black women, I know a frustration of mine is when other white folks date a woman of color and a Black woman specifically that or even Black men. Like, I have friends who are gay, who are white, who have dated mostly Black men. And that's a conversation that I've had with some friends where it's like, where is preference overlapping with
Fetishism?
fetishism and exploitation? The word is escaping me for it, but it starts with an E, but like exotification, or what's the
Mhm.
word? Yeah. And so that's something where it's like on the other side of the coin, as like, I can speak as a white person, but I can't speak as a woman of color. that I know that people do and that people will like seek out. And it's like, if you're doing that and you're saying you're, woke or aware, how woke or aware are you if that's what you're seeking out, and where does that lead to, what does it mean for your partner and where's the balance within that relationship? And the poster said, like with like personality traits versus just like a type and a type that overlaps with, fetishization and exploitation of a particular race of people who've already been fetishized and exploited and marginalized and continue to be. It's like, how can you show love and care for somebody who you're participating in that with? But yeah.
Okay. So what I'm about to say, let me preface, is coming from my own personal dating history. It does not speak for all Black women. It does not speak to every Black relationship. It is not indicative of anything outside of my own history and what I have learned. That being said, my fiance is the first white person that I've ever dated, ever. Everyone before has been either Black or brown or some combination. And I can, to try to put this as politely as possible, there were a lot of spaces and places for me to learn things about them, about myself, about how relationships work. But those relationships together as a very tall file of information made it possible for me to open the door to different types of relationships with different people. That has been my experience. And like, honestly, like it feels like some of those relationships, not all, but some pushed me right into another door, like pushed me right into looking for a different kind of relationship because it felt like, you know what, I'm trying to stay, within my own community. I think Black love is beautiful, but in that Black love space, a lot of things happened that weren't very fun. I was lied to, manipulated, abused. And that, again, this is not to talk about every Black relationship. I'm just saying for me, that is what happened. So after what, for context, I started dating maybe when I was like 16. So from 16 to like 32-ish, 33-ish, I'm gathering all this data about Black relationships. So by the time I was like 34, 35-ish, I was like, you know what? Let me try something different. Maybe I need to broaden my horizons. And really what happened was I wrote down, like OP, I wrote down a bunch of character traits that I wanted. Nowhere on it did I say this person had to be Black. I knew what I wanted. So it's like when I found the person that aligned with a lot of those things, I think 85 to 90% of the things that I said I wanted, that person happened to be white and I was not giving them back. That's mine. So,
Yeah, I think part of it too, like that's an important part of the conversation is also the way like masculinity shows up in different spaces. And I think, kind of relationship dynamics that reflect structures of like white heteropatriarchal structures and like heteronormative patriarchal structures and the performance of masculinity, white, like kind of wrapped up in white settler colonialism plays a big part in the way that people interact in relationships and like replicate what they think is a more masculine role. I think that also leads to like a lot of toxicity in like queer relationships of all kinds, like for lesbians, for gay men, and in general, just well, straight people too, obviously. Like masculinity is a lot of the root of that, and representations of masculinity through kind of like a white settler lens that we've been kind of groomed into in our
yeah.
culture. Because I have a hard time that like that even in my relationships with people, my friendships,
Mhm.
not just romantic relationships. Like I tend to be attracted to more feminine people, but I also tend to be more attracted to more feminine friendships. I have
Yeah.
a hard time with people who I'm a masculine presenting person and I don't like to represent those patriarchal structures that come with it. I find that just difficult. Like, I don't enjoy being around people like that in general. And I do think that's a piece of it too that sometimes gets left out because it's, an access point to power that gets replicated, especially in lesbian relationships where there's, a gender kind of dynamic at play. A binary gender dynamic where there's a masc and a femme can happen as well.
Yeah. And I could understand someone saying, okay, if you're in an interracial relationship, you're trying to get access to power. That's definitely a conversation topic that is very broadly known. I can say that that wasn't my intention. I was looking for, my person,
Hmm.
and they just happen to look like you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also mean then like the context of like just dating masculine people. I know because I know your dating history has been
Well,
with the ways in which it's much more likely to, toxic things. When you're any structure of masculinity is going to lead to toxicity because
hmm
it is toxic
Yeah.
inherently. Yeah.
I do think that that played a part in it too. I've never been in a relationship with a femme, so I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that I chose to pursue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because the most toxic and like I guess violent is a little bit of a strong word, but like the most toxic and problematic and abusive relationship I've ever been in was with the most performatively masculine person I've ever dated. And I don't think that's coincidental. It was a byproduct of a power dynamic that was at play that was even discussed main text sometimes
Yeah.
around masculinity and the
Yeah.
sense of who was tougher or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
which I just always kind of found funny,
Yeah.
but the other person in the relationship did not find funny. So yeah.
I mean, I can think back, like, even like my nice guys, like nice BOI boys that I dated, like, it wasn't like you still a liar. Like, just because you smile and lie, don't change the fact that you lying. Like, quit all that lying.
Hmm.
Like, it just, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
funny. All right. Well, let's see what the comments have to say. I'm going to try to find both sides of the argument. Okay. Here is a comment from Deleted. When it comes to white women, it was a freaking nightmare for me. And yes, this is the most biased answer ever. I'm just extremely traumatized by past experiences, LMAO. I've never even kissed a white girl ever again. What happened, friend? I need to know. Aside from them, I think it'd be fine as long as I could relate to them in some form in terms of experiences with racism. It's all right. Okay, so what they're saying is they would go outside of their race, they just wouldn't date a white person.
Yeah, I mean, we both know people who won't date white people. Well, they've dated white people, and they're not saying they won't date white people again, but the level of racism they experienced
Yeah.
in those relationships would make it unsafe. And as their friend, I'm wary of my friends dating white people who are
Yeah.
not white. Like I'm always more hyper alert. Same in not quite the same way, but especially with like white men, it's like I'm always very much more high alert because of what we both know what we all know. I'm
Yeah.
sure audience as well, what we all know can happen.
Yeah. And like, okay, I'm not going to say what specific country I'm talking about, but if you know, you know. There's racism within the Black and brown community as well. There's racism towards Black people for people that are darker. Even if they are born and raised in this same country, they will think that they are better if they are pale skinned. So it's really just being careful and really being able to realize if somebody has like racist energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not like, okay, like the white devil. Like it's not just that. It
Mm-hmm.
is that, but it's not just that.
The devil comes in disguise, so
It does.
yeah.
It does. All right. And one more comment. I feel like I'd just be more compatible with a Black woman, really, but I am open to dating interracially. I don't really know how to explain it, but I can't be with someone who isn't aware of what my Blackness means, and I'm constantly having to explain stuff to. Agreed. Agreed. Because you have to get it. There's
Mm-hmm.
a certain level of awareness that you have to have if you're going to be in relationship with a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
The same way, like, because my fiance is masculine of center, like, I have to be aware of that. Everywhere we go, I have to be aware of that. When we go to the airport, we go to the restroom together because I have to
Yeah.
be aware. Or if there's
Well, because for the audience, if you don't understand, I'll get followed. I've gotten kicked out of restaurants. I've had issues. I get separated online when they do, the body scans and stuff. They try to have a man come up and pat me down, then they go and have a woman come up and pat me down. But I've had a lot of problems because of my gender presentation.
yeah, but also like outside of the airport, like if we go to a place that isn't necessarily like gay friendly, and we have to, navigate that space, I'm more likely to be with them, and I have my head on a swivel too. I'm protecting them the same way that they protect me if we go into a non-black space.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go to the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah, like remember that time when we went to the Irish pub?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
You know, if you're an Irish person out there, Irish American person, and you're racist, you've missed the script, y'all. You don't know what we fought for. Like, get it together. And Irish people hate you if you're like that. Real Irish people hate you. Just so you know. Just a little PSA.
Heard that. Heard it from the source. Okay. And our last story for today is biracial lesbian couples. What issues do you struggle with? Fiance is actually going to read this one.
All right. So this one was posted 6 years ago and from a profile that has since been deleted. And it starts with disclaimer. This is not meant to be a confrontational post.
Right. But you know it's going to be.
Oh, yeah. It's for me and hopefully others to learn more about what women of color experience in relationships with white women and how that dynamic plays out for each person. I will say color was spelled with a U, so there might be a different dynamic here. It might be from a European country. I'm a 38-year-old white lesbian. Ironic, because same. Most women I have had serious relationships with were women of color. Though I've had, this is exactly what I was talking about before. Okay, I'm going to actually read. Though I've had a relationship with white women as well, no one talks about this very much unless it's behind closed doors. In my relationships with women of color, race was an issue that came up sometimes in different ways. The healthy ways, usually when she would experience some form of racism in her daily life, and I would listen to her and comfort her about it, trying to be as supportive as I can. The unhealthy way, she would bring up my race and use it negatively. For example, one of my ex-partners said to me in passing once, quote, "Gross, look at that white couple. Why do they have to live in our neighborhood? They look like your parents." End quote. And to paraphrase, quote, "You've never suffered as much as me because you're white. How could you know what abuse or trauma feels like?" End quote. I mean, she's not wrong. This I found the most hurtful because I was physically abused by my alcoholic father most of my life and bullied at school. We also grew up in a very poor and struggled financially. I've got a lot to say about this. I'm not sure why this keeps coming up. And I can't help but sense my partner resenting my, quote, white privilege, which comes up in heated arguments. I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I want to continue dating women of color and continue to understand their experience, even though it's been hard in the past regarding this issue. I know there is a lot of pain behind these actions. This brings me to the question, lesbians and biracial couples, what issues do you struggle with? What can a white partner do to support a racialized partner and mitigate the above? I have a lot of thoughts on this, babe. Do you want to start? Yeah, well, transparency for the audience, right? I am white. I also grew up in a not always great household, have experienced poverty and homelessness before. I don't think those are excuses. And we can be homeless, abused in every which way, and still not experience remotely close to what systemic racism is, especially in white settler colonial countries, which, if you're spelling this with a U, is, right? Like whether it's the United States or a European country, you're a white settler colonial country, most likely. And to act like it's your partner's job to teach you about your privilege feels not only absurd, but violent in a form of abuse that you're replicating. If you know what abuse feels like, then you need to listen to your partners and not just victimize yourself and trust them when they say what it is. And also, not for nothing, your partner's joke was probably pretty funny, and they probably did look like your parents. And gentrification is a problem. But I don't think this person should be dating any person of color or dating anyone until they do more work. Yeah, a lot of the things they said kind of sent me, but I want to hear your perspective as well, babe.
Sure. I think white people in their lives can experience things that traumatize them, that change the trajectory of their life in one way or another. I do think that when children are harmed in the one place in the world that they are supposed to feel safe, can change that child regardless of what color they are. So from a human standpoint, I can see what they mean. However, even with everything that they said, their alcoholic father being bullied at school, struggling financially growing up, that's still not, I don't want to say as bad, but that's how it is like in my head.
No, I mean, I haven't had their experiences, but the list that they have created, I have experienced, and it's like you're in a fish tank, and it's like the little house that the fish is in is being poisoned versus the entire tank.
Right.
And experiencing racism is the entire tank is poisoned everywhere you go versus just the little hole.
Right. Because it's like, even with all of these things, like you don't you don't have to worry about dying, like for the littlest thing, for going to buy Skittles and sweet tea, for playing your music, for sitting on your couch in your house. Like if you get in a car accident and you knock on somebody's door for help, you don't have to worry about somebody shooting you. Like there are things that, and this is, I get, I'm American Black, so that's a little different than like European Black, but well, it's a lot different. But anyway, like there are things that are just terrifying as a Black person. Every time you get stopped by the cops, even trying to find a new job, the likelihood of you getting a job, like whether a white person is hiring you versus a Black person that's hiring you or a person of color, like you have to think about all of those things all the time. You wake up knowing that you're Black and knowing how dangerous it is to be you, and you just don't have that struggle. You don't.
Yeah. And yeah, it just, yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to be said about that. It's pretty ignorant and just there seems to be a lack of desire to listen. So we're going to go to a comment. There's only a few and they're pretty long, but we're going to go to a deleted profile. This commenter says, or this Redditor says, as a woman of color, this is an issue I think about a lot. It's pretty common in POC spaces to joke about our own race or to talk silly white people things, similar to how white women joke about men being trash or killing men, question mark. I mean, I have a dead mom. I make dead mom jokes all the time and I make white people jokes all the time. I do. I don't know the full story, but it's possible that she meant you don't understand racial trauma. Alcoholic fathers or being poor and bullied isn't connected to your race. It's a separate trauma that you don't have to broadcast on your skin every single day.
That's a great point.
That part, your race hasn't been used against you your whole life, right? That trauma is invisible. Honestly, I do think there's no way for a white person to ever fully understand it, and that's okay. I won't understand transgender trauma or having an alcoholic father. I can only be supportive, right? That part, you can only listen, and that's what this Redditor is not, the original poster is not doing. I am always afraid to approach race with white people because I'm scared of seeming too hostile, radical, or being gaslit. Quote, I'm sure it wasn't that bad. I wish I wasn't white sometimes. People make fun of me for being white too.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure that, I mean, and as they should. I'm sure they didn't mean it that way. Not all people are white, X, Y, Z, that part. I feel like I can't say anything right. Really? I probably shouldn't be editorializing with my voices right now, but I am. I know another POC and they said XYZ. Oh, the weaponizing of your not real friends of color is. I'm also scared of exhausting my partner with, and so this is back to their own words. I'm also scared of exhausting my partner with my culture, family, and racial experiences until they eventually decide. It would be so much easier to just date a white person and not have to think about it. That's really unfortunate and sad. I feel sorry for this person. What you can do is listen to her, affirm her, make efforts to understand her background and culture, be unafraid to discuss things, and don't get defensive or talk over her or try to explain racism back to her. Understand that she's probably holding back. That doesn't mean women of color are perfect and her word is gospel and you aren't allowed to have feelings or opinions or be hurt, but recognize that it will be an ongoing effort to support and understand the POC experience. It's never over, that part. You're never going to be perfect at it, and there's some things you'll never be able to understand, and that's okay. Seeking out friends or family with her background isn't anything to take personally, and however exhausting you find it, it honestly pales in comparison to living it every day. I hope that's not too harsh. I think that was spot on.
It's not as harsh as being Black in America.
Right, that part. Or anywhere in most places in this world, unfortunately, because of, again, white settler colonialism and the pervasiveness of whitewashing and violence.
Yeah. It's like if you as a white person are deciding to be with a Black person, this is gay, straight, whatever, in between. You have to realize that there is a part of their life that has a certain edge, has a certain danger to it that you're never going to understand. Like, it doesn't mean you can't empathize and sympathize, but it does mean that there is a part of them that you won't be able to access because you physically can't.
Yeah. And I think there's something that they don't want to because there is the capacity for empathy, because they know that if you don't have an alcoholic father or haven't experienced extreme poverty or abuse, there are certain things you're not going to get. So because they know that, this actually does boil down to racism. Like, this person is racist and they haven't unpacked their racism and are saying they want to do that, but are not acting like they want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when men try to mansplain something like, oh yeah, cramps don't hurt that bad. And then they get on the machine and they act like they're dying and it's only on level 2. It's like, you really?
Right. And even like with that same metaphor, right? Like even experiencing for that short period of time is nothing of what it means to live that.
Right.
And so yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
there's
with it with this
there's
person.
no maneuver
Yeah.
for being on your period and then you sneeze. There's nothing to emulate that. Yeah. Well, all right, that wraps up our last story for today. Now it's time for our Queer Corner, where we put you onto queer books, movies, and TV shows so that you can keep the conversation going, keep learning, and keep it a little more queer in your everyday life. All right, the book that we are suggesting is Honey Girl. Honey Girl follows Grace Porter, a high-achieving Black lesbian who has spent her entire life trying to be perfect. After finishing her PhD, she ends up drunkenly marrying a white woman she barely knows during a trip to Las Vegas, and what starts as a chaotic mistake slowly turns into something deeper. But underneath the romance, the book is really about burnout, identity, pressure, and learning how to exist outside of survival mode. It explores interracial love in a way that feels grounded and realistic, especially around communication, emotional vulnerability, and what it means to feel truly seen by another person.
All right, and for the movie, we have The Half of It. The Half of It is a quiet coming-of-age film about Ellie Chu, a shy Chinese-American teenager who secretly helps a football player write love letters to the same girl she has feelings for herself. What makes the movie stand out is how gentle and emotionally layered it is. It's not only a romance. It's about loneliness, cultural isolation, class differences, and the complicated experience of wanting connection while feeling like an outsider in your own town. The film handles race, queerness, and identity with a softness that feels very real instead of overly dramatic.
We should watch it. All right. And the show that we are suggesting is Master of None. While Master of None originally focused on Dev's life and relationships, the later season Moments in Love shifts almost entirely toward Denise, a Black lesbian writer played by Lena Waithe, and her relationship with her white wife, Alicia. The season digs deep into interracial relationships, fertility struggle, communication breakdowns, ambition, resentment, and how love can slowly change shape over time. It feels less like a traditional TV show and more like watching pieces of someone's real relationship unfold. Messy, intimate, uncomfortable at times, but very honest. All right. Well, if you liked what you heard today, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. It helps more folks find us and keeps this space growing. If you have a story to share, do post it on our Reddit page. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Lesbian Line.
Thanks for having me, baby.
You're very welcome. Bye, y'all.
Later.